clue, but that was a nice segue. Um, home stretch, everybody. Yeah? What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh my gosh, what a week. Have you ever had one of those moments, well, just this morning, since the time I woke up at 4 a.m. to now, I have had probably every feeling, every emotion. I mean, I came here today, they can tell you that. I was in that silly mood. I know you find that hard to believe, but I was in a silly mood. Just that mood that just says, I don't want to make sense out of anything. You've ever been there? Yeah. I have this wonderful quote that I actually found very early in the week, and I thought I'd start out this time of home stretch with this. And it's from Madison Taylor, and she's with the Om that we get in our inbox in the mornings, and it's just quite inspiring. And she says, we have a habit of presenting life with a set of conditions, ifs and whens that must be fulfilled before we will say yes to the gift of our lives. Now is the time for each of us to bloom where we are planted, overriding our tendency to hold back. Now is the time to say yes, to be brave and commit fully to ourselves, because until we do, no one else will. Now is the time to be vulnerable, unfolding delicately yet fully into the space in which we find ourselves. Wow. Just think if we actually did that. I was thinking that myself. If I actually just, let's break it down for just a moment. We have a habit of presenting life with a set of conditions, ifs and whens that must be fulfilled before we will say yes to the gift of our lives. And I definitely know for an absolute fact that we live in a yes universe. And that is such good news and such really bad news, because it says yes to it all. It either is or it isn't. And I love this one. Now is the time for each of us to bloom where we are planted, overriding our tendency to hold back. And that's what I feel, and I'm only speaking I feel has been happening, the holding back. And I understand sometimes it's really important to hold back before you make a decision or before you want to go forward. But I think holding back can sometimes get us into a big trap. Because what are we holding back for? I loved what Rita was talking about. When is the time that we get to live? When someone says we open the gates are open. And I know that many, 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 many would debate me on that. And I might be talking woo-woo, but nobody that's watching in here, of course. But I say now is the time to say yes, to be brave, to commit fully to ourselves, because until we do, no one else will. Even after this is all said and done, and I know there's many theories about whether it'll be said and done, but I know that until I decide to live from my spiritual self, I'm going to repeat that, because I think spirituality, nobody watching, and that power that we have talked about, at least here, for 7 years, some of that has been in lockdown. And that's been my little rant this week about locking down spirituality. And you think, well, you can't do that. You can't lock down God. No, you can't. But you can certainly put God over there until we do all of this stuff over here. So it says, now is the time to be vulnerable. Oh, anybody feel vulnerable? Unfolding delicately. I love that. Unfolding delicately, yet fully into the space in which we find ourselves. So the question becomes now is, where do we find ourselves today? Not yesterday. I loved the definition for home stretch. And then there's this, is the final part of the distance or the final effort needed to finish. And we both ran marathons, and I was thinking of the marathon I ran last year, which I'm very glad I did, by the way, because I doubt strongly if there will be one this year on September 1st. So see, do it when you can, because I ran it last year, and this was how I looked at home stretch. I had already ran 12 miles, or going into my 13th. And home stretch looked so far away. I didn't even know literally if I could do it, because my legs were all like rubber and they were tired. And then I saw that little finish line where you'd go through and And so, I always like to look good on camera, so I wasn't about to come slumping in, like, help. I walked in, I got that last little bit of effort to run in like this. And then when I got past the camera, holy, and I have a feeling that's what some of us will do. Rita and I were talking about that. When this is over, we're going to fall. Except that I don't think it's ever over. I'm not sure this is ever over. And I know we've been saying a lot about this idea, I love this, that the popular phrase during these times, we cannot go back to the way things were. Things will never be the same. I don't want it to be the same. We'll never go back to being the same. But I haven't heard anybody talking about the way they want it. That's lately, for me. I'm going, that's nice, Patrick, and that sounds really good every Sunday for 9 weeks. But what do I want? How do I want to live? And will I have to wait until it's over, to the home stretch? The home stretch, what is that? This has been a very interesting week for me because I've been doing a lot of questioning. Those young men that decided that there was no option for them but to take their lives, and they're not alone. I just wrote a blog about it. The statistics are just incredible. There's no way to even talk about it without weeping. But my weeping isn't going to serve either. And I also, as I said last week, these young men, and I really want us to hear this, those young men did not start having trouble at the break of COVID. Those men, people that decide to take their lives, have been living for a long time with that pain, with that isolation, with that lockdown of spirit, that lockdown of something that says that life is not on my side. When my brother passed away when he was 42, we still don't know to this day if the car hit him or he hit the car. But if I can't learn from it, and I don't know, my brother was incredibly unhappy. And that was a lot of our conflicts, was that he couldn't believe that I looked at life so positive when life sucked so much. Same family, same situation, same parents, same dysfunctions. And he didn't think it was worth going on. I remember him telling me, if I have to be like Dad, I would rather not be here. And I share this with you because I think that some of us, nobody in this room and there was a phrase that came up to me during my meditation today, and it was called spiritual laziness. And I was like, please don't say that, Patrick, when you go into the center today to these beautiful people watching. Nobody likes that word lazy. But lazy is this. I love this definition. Unwilling to work or use energy. See, I hated the word lazy because I thought all my self-worth, oh, he's not working. What are you doing sitting on the couch? Why are you doing that? What are you relaxing for? You should go get her done, get her done, get her done. But it took on a whole new meaning to me. Because this week I realized, as a minister and as a spiritual leader, I needed to ask more questions. More questions of myself, for one, but to not become spiritual laziness. And that means that if we have this power, if we are who we say we are, then why is it not in all of our conversations? Why isn't it that when someone's saying, I feel really low, not to say, oh no, everything will be just fine, not that. Oh, let's talk about our power. Holy crap. Well, I don't feel that. Oh, I know, man. Come here. Let's hug. Secretly. Let's hug. Let's hold each other. Because I got God running through me right now. but I don't. I know, but I do. Fill her up. Fill her up. Come here, fill her up. You don't have to put a rope around your neck. Fill her up. So those who have been asking us, what stand are we taking? What stand are you taking? I'm bringing spirit back into the conversation. I'm bringing God back into the conversation. I was saying in a blog, I'll say it here, let it be whatever it is. I'd hate to think, and this doesn't matter, this isn't just science of mind, my friends. Because when I was a Catholic, I was in New York City and I was so depressed, not suicidal, mind you, but I was pretty depressed. So depressed that when I saw the Army sign that said, "We want you," that gave me hope. And I went, oh shit, that means I'd have to go in the Army. And then I kind of came to my senses. But I walked into a church, a Catholic church, and just sat there. And filled up and lit a candle. And even though I wasn't practicing Catholic, I thought that might be a place where God might live. That might be a place that maybe I could fill up or get some answers and not feel so depressed. So where do we stand? I said the other day, I would hate to think that somebody was on their last moment of hope. And I said, oh, I can't really see you till the virus is over. My doors are locked. We have to ask better questions. I don't know how spirituality, I understand how Kauai took a vacation in some ways. I understand how that can happen. But I don't know how God can take a vacation, how spirit can take a vacation, how I will not dare to walk in where somebody needs me as a spiritual leader to hold their hand, to be with them for their last breath, perhaps. I can gear up and get myself safe for Costco. I can certainly gear up and get myself safe for you. Is that political? We're all so beyond that right now. We're in the business of spirituality here at CSL Kauai. Not giving false hope, but to remember our only job is for us to remember who we are so we can use that power. And if theories are true, if there is the biggest boogeyman down the road, well, I would like to be pretty spiritually prayed up and be pretty powerful when that time comes. Because if I'm depending only on the world of conditions, well, when you're only depending on the world of conditions, sometimes you don't stay here. You're like my brother. If I'm going to be that condition, I'm out of here. And I think that we, as a spiritual community, owe so much more. To ask better questions, to be a participation, be participating in this whole system of life. So if anybody wants to know what I'll be doing personally, thank you for going out and being a part of a movement. Thank you for doing everything you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm done with the blame game, but I am not done with allowing myself to be that example of spirit, of spirit, of spirit. Mark Nepo, if you ever want to read a book, read the one, More Together Than Alone. He says, we are at the basic crossroads between deepening the decency. Excuse me a minute. I'll work on my eyesight at another time. We are at a basic crossroads between deepening the decency that comes from caring for each other and spreading the contagion of making anyone who is different into an enemy. I'm done. just so everyone knows. There were 4 gentlemen, someone over on the west side. People need spirituality, and I am going to stand tall. That's my stand now. I'm not going to just say I'm God. I'm going to act from that. And so that's where I'm going to put my work. And you put it wherever you want. And I just was thinking yesterday, we went through these 8 panels of these young practitioner, future ministers, and they're all like filled with energy. And it was so good for me and for us, because it filled us up. Because when we would ask these questions, they'd be like, I said, what's with the COVID? What do you feel about that? Yeah, I've got a lot of compassion, which we should, with what's happening around the world. And they said, but I'm so grateful that I got a principle I can depend on. And they meant it too. We had them do treatments for us, the whole 9 yards. And they were at that level of learning where they did not forget, because it's so fresh in their minds, that they have this power, this spirit that moves through them, that nobody can shake them. And this woman who was there also, in the midst of this, lost her husband. And she continued on to the panels to be there yesterday. Because she said, I know that as weak as or distraught as I could be, she still has the power of spirit within her. It was so refreshing even for myself, just to get that reminder. I love getting all like sweaty and worked up. It's so real. Rita was right when she was speaking today that we have to be there for people like that need us. Fight for whatever is needed to be fought for. I get it. That's wonderful. But the moment that spirit is over here and this is over there, we are a house divided against ourselves. And we have no foundation. This is a great opportunity to build a new foundation, to build a new world. It's emerging. But it's never going to emerge unless I meet myself right where I am and be vulnerable. And be vulnerable. What does she say? Now is the time to be vulnerable, unfolding delicately yet fully into the space that we find ourselves. What that means to me, and I'll close with that because I can feel this floating sensation I'm having right now. What it means to me is that if I think that when this is all over, do you know how many times I had things that needed to be over? As soon as my dad left, if my mom divorced and left him, that's over, then I'll be all right. Then high school came. If I can get through high school, then it's going to be all right. If I can get out of that relationship that I never should have been in the beginning, it'll be all right. If I can get out of Catholicism, it'll be all right. And it just kept going on and on and on and on. If I could pay my bills, it'll be all right. If they stop treating me this way, it'll be all right. It'll be right. When do we get to be free? As soon as I take myself out of the self-imposed prison is when I will be free. And I am free. And I know freedom for all of us. And as Rita said, we're all at a different place right now, and a different pace. The reason I'm staring right now is because, as I said before, you get to see me, you get to see us. You get that bird's eye view of us. But whether or not you know it or not, we actually get to see you as well. Because we have to go beyond sight, beyond our 5 senses, and go into that beautiful telepathic feeling. So I feel you all. I love you all. And we shall be together very, very soon. Namaste.